addressing economic inequality by putting money in what they call community-based programs. That's another one of those things that sounds great, and to them it probably looks good on paper. But don't we already have a lot of programs like that? Things like food stamps that our president just took away from hundreds of thousands of Americans that could really use it. The problem with these kind of programs is who qualifies for it? Who doesn't? The fact is, these programs that they think are so great, when it comes right down to it, a lot of the people who really, really need them, they don't qualify for them. Or even if they do, laws can change and they can be taken away. So what do we do about that? You know, it reminds me of when I was young and you would have an adult that told you they're doing this in your best interest. They would tell you what's best for you, as if they had any idea. These politicians that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year are trying to tell people who are making $200 or $300 a week what's best for them. Really, it's kind of a bad joke. The best thing to do, in my opinion, is put the money in the hands of the people. People know what they need to improve their lives. This is something that I didn't really think was possible. As I already said, I hate politicians. I've never really been into politics. But I think we've come to a time and a place in this country where people's voices need to be heard. I think it's come to a time when there needs to be change, real change. So recently, I started watching presidential debates and listening to the things the people were saying. I recently came across a candidate that, this is not in any way an endorsement of him, but he brought up an idea that up until now I was unfamiliar with. Something called universal base income. He talked about putting the money in the people's hands and giving them the ability to improve their own lives. Giving every American $1,000 a month. You know, rather than raise minimum wage and give full-time workers maybe an extra $60 a week, an extra $1,000 a month, it could be a real game changer for a lot of people. It would allow people to go back to school, to learn a trade, or just to do simple things in their own lives that they need in order to make it better. It was brought up that 70% of Americans can't afford an unexpected $500 bill. I know this to be true. Not that long ago, I ended up with a car repair bill that was a few $100s that I simply couldn't afford. That vehicle still isn't fixed. And I know that not just for myself, a lot of friends and people that I know, this is the reality that they live in. An extra $1,000 a month would go a long way to helping a lot of people. He suggested a simple tax, very small, on every Amazon purchase, every Google search, every Facebook ad. Because the fact is that these corporations, Facebook, Amazon, they pay $0 in taxes. How is that fair when so many people are struggling? The funny thing is the owners of Amazon and Facebook, they all agreed. They were all for it. None of them minded a small tax being put on their services. You know why? Because if people have more money to spend, the good likelihood is that it's going to get spent with their companies. Amazon in particular. Now, if that were to earn enough revenue to give every American an extra $1,000 a month, well, you know what? Unlike food stamps, it couldn't get taken away. It wasn't an idea that it was a program that you would have to qualify for. Each and every American over 18 years old would get that money. Universal base income, it turns out, really isn't a new idea at all. Years ago, Martin Luther King supported a very similar idea. The idea has been around for a long time. It's funny that so many people are just now hearing about it.